It's that West Coast point of view. Easy when it's always summertime fun. You and I carefree and to do. Who cares what the people think?
What's up? We're back. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long minute. And if you didn't know, we're not in France anymore.
Yeah. We've just been through it.
Through it. Maybe we'll include a little story about the through itness. About the...
I thought that's what this was about.
Okay, good. That's what this is about. So, by the way, we had like 2 or 3 videos actually filmed, and I actually had some edited. And this was like a month ago, and we wanted to upload it to you guys, but we couldn't because the place we were at that said they had Wi-Fi, there was 0 Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi they did had was so terrible, I couldn't even upload a YouTube video.
Yeah, so we had a whole video about like our outreach and like everything.
Yes.
And we just were never able to upload it.
Yeah.
But it's good because we didn't end up going on outreach, obviously.
Yeah, so we were supposed to go for another 3 months. We were actually going to be in the Middle East somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. But
To just like sum it up, it wasn't a family friendly place.
yeah, I mean, we told you guys a little bit about this, you know?
Yeah.
But like it was really hard with the kids.
Yeah.
Actually, we might have only told them in the video that we didn't upload.
Oh my goodness.
So we might not have told you guys this at all. So basically, like, we would go from, like, 9 in the morning until 9 at night, nonstop. Most of the time, like, if the kids were with us, it was very stressful because, like, they have, like, worship and prayer, and, like, you keep the kids with you during that.
Yeah.
And, we have 2 toddlers, not, like,
Yeah.
they don't really understand it. And so for, like, an hour and a half every day, we're trying to keep them quiet and make them behave. And then the rest of the day, they would go to different people for them to watch them. So like that was nice that they had people to watch them, but then it was really hard on us because either we wouldn't see them or they were always going to different people.
Yeah.
And it just like wasn't really like they were just really unhappy. I've never seen our kids act out more than they did while we were there.
Yeah, it was sad. They didn't have like a dedicated ministry for children, so they wanted to like invite families. So Ywam Youth with a Mission, they have like thousands of different locations, and each location could sort of do their own thing. So as long as they adhere to like Ywam's like statement of faith and their values, they're pretty much calling the shots. So you could have very different experiences with Ywam, as you know if you type in Ywam in YouTube search, than other places. Some places might be healthy and thriving, and other places might be a complete mess. So this place in particular, they really wanted families, but they, like, the leaders of the base didn't have children. No, we were the only family there besides one family on staff, and, like, no one knew how, like, what families needed. So the whole time, it just was like she said, the kids were miserable. It was really unfair to them because it felt like constantly we were telling them not to do things, not to be quiet. I mean, can you imagine? Like, that's why churches have like kids ministries. Imagine sitting there in class. So like the morning time, the kids were accounted for. And like she said, sometimes it would just be random people. Most of the time it was this really sweet Christian couple. The ones that did have kids would watch. But then we would have like, I had 2:30 to 4:30 work duty, and she watched the kids, and which was nice because she actually got time with the children. But then I never saw the kids ever. And then from 4:30 to 6:30, there was always something, always a class, evangelism, something. So then from 4:30 to 6:30, like usually the kids would like be in class with us.
Yeah.
And or have to get passed off to someone. And it was like, you know, they're in a really formative age, being a toddler, and they weren't learning. No one was teaching them anything. And like she said, they were just sort of miserable because like they weren't like a priority, you know?
Yeah, it was hard. I feel like we really loved like being there and stuff, and we wanted to be a part of everything, but because of the way that they structured it, it wasn't possible for us to be part of everything.
Yeah.
And that was really hard because that's what we went for. We went to learn and to be able to do things, and we just thought that like family friendly meant like they have something in place for the kids during those times. Or they have like a program that a family can do, and that was not the case. Basically, like we were expected to do everything that everyone else was doing, like these single like 18 to 20 year olds.
Yeah.
But like we had a family on top of it and our marriage. So it's like,
Yeah.
it was just really, really hard. And I feel like we were constantly like just pushing back, trying to figure out like what works for us, you know? And we finally like got into like a decent groove by the very end of it, like after 2 months of me being miserable all the time.
Yeah.
And so like basically what happened at the end of it all was we realized just that like nobody is looking out for our family.
Yeah.
Like if we want our family and our marriage and everything to be a priority, like we have to fight for it, and that's all on us basically. They don't have anything, like they don't have any idea of like what that takes.
No.
And that just wasn't okay with us. Like that wasn't what we expected. That wasn't what we went for. You know, we went to do it all together, like us and the kids. You know, there's tons of things you can do with kids, and they had nothing for us to do.
And that was the thing, like Ywam, one of their values is like the husband and wife doing ministry if they want, not just like the husband going to work and working a whole day and the wife just watches the children. Like both could be a part of ministry. And like she said, we did like have amazing times. Like every week was a speaker on different topics, like the character of God and the father heart of God, or repentance and forgiveness. Really amazing things. And it was like, it really, like a lot of it was very foundational, and it's hard because we grew up in the church and I went to school for theology and stuff, but we learned a lot. And a lot of what we learned was through experience and trusting God when it was difficult. And we learned a lot from the missionaries there. The staff and the students were incredible. They love the Lord. They're literally paying to be there to serve God, doing dishes, cleaning floors, cleaning toilets, and they really have a heart to reach the lost. And our minds were opened up to like there's 3.2 billion people in the world that still haven't heard the gospel, like don't even have Bibles, don't even know the message and the hope of Jesus Christ. And like these people, they're literally going into the Himalayas and like taking a stack of Bibles to reach 10 people, even if it takes a month to get to them. So, but like she said, by the end of it, we realized we're not doing anything well. And for us to go on outreach, like
which they say is harder and more intense.
6 days a week.
Yeah, 6 days a week. Like you have no breaks. It's like hours. Like it would not have been good.
No.
We basically realized like we were not able to do ministry well there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just unfortunate.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but it was a time that was really unique where we were together, and there was this quick analogy that this teacher did. I'll tell you real quick, and he was just talking about in Switzerland. There's this forest where the trees, there was a big storm that came, and all the trees just like blew over. They just like got knocked
really
down.
tall trees.
These really tall, beautiful trees. A little storm came, and they would just like. The whole forest would sort of collapse. And the reason why was because the environment, it was so like the soil was so like good and healthy, and like the trees would shed their leaves or whatever, and there'd be like that mulch, that top layer. So because the environment was always sort of perfect for these trees, they never really had to grow roots like deep down because it always rained. It was just like a really good environment to like.
All the nutrients were on the top of the soil, so they didn't need to.
Exactly. That's what she said, and she's just said. Sorry, I've been sick for the last few weeks. We've basically, since going there, This is
the first time we've not been sick in probably 3.5 months.
For 3.5 months, we were sick like every single week. It just was a nightmare. So anyways, he basically said like faith grows by like in our lives by like the storms we go through, the trials we go through. Like if you really want to like trust in God and depend on him, it doesn't happen when you're just like earning lots of money, everything's fine, like life's going your way. When things are like you're shipwrecked, when things aren't going your way, and you're still trusting God despite your circumstances, that's when your faith grows and that's when your roots grow. And I felt like that's one of the big reasons we were there.
Yeah, it's totally like, we talked about this a lot, but when you're in church and you're singing all these songs, like,
Yeah.
what's that song? Like, take me deeper than my feet
Yes.
could ever wander. Like,
Yeah.
things like that where it's like, oh, like, God, like, grow my faith, like, grow my trust in you. But, like, when he actually is like, okay, here you go, like, try to do this. And, like, it's
Yeah.
a lot harder than just, like, singing the song and being at home and being all comfortable. Like, it was really, really hard. Like, all the time, every single day. Like,
Yeah.
I was choosing to be there every single day. It was, like,
for months and
way
months
harder
on
than
end.
marriage.
No, that could be hard. That's a compliment.
But seriously, like, it was really, really hard. Like, but like Tommy said, like, it was really sweet. We got to, like, the kids would be in worship, which was fun sometimes.
Aw,
Like, it was sweet
yeah.
to see them. Thomas, like, raising his little hands.
Worshipping.
And, like, kneeling on the floor and, like,
Yeah.
praying. Like,
Yeah.
like, we did learn a lot, and we loved being around all of the people there. And, like, it was a really good experience in some senses. But just, like, environmentally, it was really
Yeah.
tough on us.
Yeah.
So, basically, like, what the straw that broke the camel's back was we were 2
Long story
weeks
short.
away from outreach.
Yeah.
Or was it even 2 weeks? Like
Maybe,
10 days,
yeah,
like
yeah.
really close. And I don't know what we were doing. We were just hanging out. It was
Yeah.
Sunday or Monday. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, COVID hit the base.
Yeah.
So we decided just to stay in our apartment because we didn't want to get COVID with outreach so close. We were just like, just keep the kids in there. Try to
Yeah.
like wait until it goes through and,
Yeah.
And so,
Because it's pretty close quarters and it's
Yeah,
like
very
100
close
people,
quarters.
so you have to be careful.
So we were just like cleaning, or I was getting a suitcase out.
Yes.
I was getting a suitcase out, and I was looking for something, and I noticed the suitcase had poop all over it. Okay, and literally, guys, 3 nights before, I could not sleep because I was certain that there was a rat in our room. Okay, so every night we'd lay down and go to sleep, and you could hear the rats running in the walls, like next to our head. It was so gross. Okay, yeah, and so I like swore to Tommy that there was a rat in
Yeah.
our room. I heard it on the floor, and he was like, we were up until 2 a.m. He was looking like all through the
Yeah.
room, like we never found anything. Okay, so 3 days later, I see poop all over the suitcase, and I'm like, Tommy, I told you there's something in our room. I knew
Yeah.
it. Like there's something in here. And so as I kept like looking that day, there was poop everywhere, and we were like, okay, we can't stay here.
Yeah. I mean, in
obviously-
underwear and the kids' clothes.
Well, I didn't know
just-
that yet. Before
Yeah,
that, we said, okay,
yeah.
we can't stay here. There's
No.
obviously a rodent in here, probably a rat. Like, we're not going to stay
Yeah.
here. It's like this little tiny apartment.
Yeah.
And so we decided we're going to go to a hotel.
Yep.
And we talked to our leader, and she was like, okay, like, you guys go. And basically, like, there was no solution. Nobody thought that it's, like, not normal to, like, have rats and stuff in your room.
Yeah.
And especially with, like, little kids, we were like, that's not okay. Like, we're not going to, like, live like that, basically.
Yeah.
And so we decided to go to the hotel, and we didn't know if we were going to come back or not because they weren't offering us anywhere else to stay, and we still had weeks before outreach.
Yeah.
So we left that night. Just more disaster after disaster. We left that night and went to the hotel, and by the time we got to the hotel, we just realized, like, okay, if something this simple doesn't have a solution, and nobody else, like, we're the ones who has to, like, pay to get a hotel and find a car and get there and stuff, like, what's gonna happen if we're in a country where, like, it's illegal to be a Christian, and, like, what if something happens with us, with our kids? Like, who's gonna take care of us? It's gonna be us. And, like, that's fine if we were there on our own, but
Yeah.
we were there under them. Like, we were relying on them for our information, for
Yeah.
our contacts, for everything.
Yeah.
And, like, for us not to get information, not to get, like, we never had the information that we needed. And we have a family.
For anything. The
For-
whole
for
entire
anything.
time. I
Like,
think.
Guys, we went there and we didn't even have a schedule. We didn't even know
No.
what it was going to be
No.
like. And they had that the whole time. It was
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Like, stuff like they didn't tell us, like, one of the kids we'd have to pay for.
No.
And, like, we ended up having to pay for Thomas, like, thousands of
It
dollars.
was an extra, like, couple
I
thousand.
mean, just stuff that, like, was really just, like, stuff was poorly run.
Which,
you know?
like, we get it. Like, missionary life is a lot of just, like, go with the flow sort of things. But there's also a point where, if you have a family coming, you have to be, like, sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Because we do have 2 little kids, and it's just different. It's not just the 2
Yeah.
of us. We have to look out for them as well.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, like we got to the hotel and we just decided like it's just not working. I was seriously at the end of my rope, you guys. Like I was like dumb. I was like crying uncontrollably.
She was a
He thought I
mess,
was gonna
dude.
like have
She
a
was.
mental
It
breakdown
was like, yeah.
because like it wasn't just the rats. It was like every week, every day. It was so hard. Like
Yeah.
always getting sick. Like anytime I felt like okay, I can do this,
Yeah.
something else would happen.
Yeah.
And I felt like at that point we had fought so hard to stay there and we were so excited to go on outreach, like we were so ready, and like just to have it be that like we had no chance to go, basically, like
Yeah.
we just knew there was no possibility, like it would be us forcing it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really sucked. It was just really awful. And then like
Bittersweet coming home.
yeah, but I was really excited to be home.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah. I was bummed. I didn't want to really come.
I didn't want to come home necessarily, but I wanted to be out of that environment
yeah.
of just like
Yeah.
my kids were always being told no. They had nowhere to play, nowhere to go. Like
Yeah.
we were always stuck at that little base. It was so dreary and cold and
Yeah.
dark and it just like felt like always like under attack. And it could have been. It was like a mix, I think. But like
Yeah.
that last week, like we leave to go to the hotel, and then our Uber driver goes psycho and drops us off like a quarter mile down the street with all of our luggage and won't take us to the hotel at 9:00 at night in Aubervilliers. It was so sketchy. And then we get to the hotel, and then the next day, Hudson's sick, has 104-degree fever. We're in France, and we don't speak French. We have no family or nobody to like help us there. Like, it was just thing after thing. Oh, and Thomas woke up throwing up the
Yeah.
same day.
Yeah.
But like, we definitely saw God like be there and like meet us there every single time.
Yeah.
Like we were singing, what was that song today? I don't know. A lot of songs that we were singing today. But I was
Yeah.
just like, like I can sing those songs in a different way now, because I'm like, okay, God, like I relied on you to like the very end. Okay, like, oh, and COVID. We were afraid we had COVID. So we were afraid
Yeah.
that we would be stuck in that hotel for 2 weeks, and we couldn't afford to stay there for 2 weeks. And if we got COVID, like, yeah.
Yeah, so it just was a mess. But we're happy. We're home now. We're both really happy. We knew it just wasn't a right fit. We realized God brought us there for certain reasons. I mean, it confirmed, I think, for us, like, and for me especially, because she stays at her full-time jobs with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
So she'll go wherever I go, you know what I mean? Like, whatever I want to do, she'll do. But for me, it confirmed really, like, I want to be in ministry full-time and to start a ministry, and for her too. She really, like, wants to be actively in ministry, and that's part of the reason she's blogging, and I'm like continuing the online ministry I'm doing. But we realized like that's really what we want to do with our lives.
Yeah, we really loved like the way that they did things, like of discipleship,
Yeah.
of like you're growing in your faith, and it's not just like church where sometimes we could get in the habit of just going and being fed, and then the rest of the week it's sort of like, oh, I'll read my Bible, like,
Yeah.
but like there every day, everything you do is like about like, what are you doing for God? Like,
Yeah.
like how are you, making him Lord in your life? How are
Yeah.
you like it's just like living like a life of like holiness and putting him in the center, and it was
Yeah.
really cool. It was really good.
Yeah.
And like we want to do something like that here in
Yeah.
a way that's like good for families as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because we know like what it takes for a family to be able to get it, like to do that.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's what we realized. Like, yeah, like Jesus, in the Great Commission, one of the final words he said is, "Go make disciples of all nations," and that starts with you and us, all of us, making disciples and not staying stagnant in our faith, but like leaning in and always seeing like, what can I learn and how could I grow closer with my relationship with God? Like I realized like, wow, like you could go so deep in your relationship and friendship with God, just as a father and as a friend and like Lord, and also then how to show others to do that as well. And I think that's what we're really excited to do. Because yeah, it was that like intentional every day, like living on mission, which was really cool. And in the community, we don't really have community here in the desert.
Yeah, the community was cool.
Because it's just such an older crowd, even at our church, even what's available to us. So being with a bunch of like young people that love Jesus. The camera died. Yes, community. We just don't have that, and we finally had that, and I think that's something I'll miss the most for sure. And I think we want to recreate that, like a place for young people to come together and like, yeah, because we would every night have dinner together and we had lunch together and like, just like we just shared all these moments of like learning together, and it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Bittersweet. I do miss it.
Yeah. So next is for the future for the Jordan fam is, we want to we still we realized a lot of things like about ourselves that we realized God actually put there, and we're starting to accept more. And we realized Orange County is still very on our heart. And there's to put it in perspective, where we live, I think the population's like 200,000 in the entire valley. Something like that. Orange County has 3 million people, and most of the population isn't saved. They don't know Jesus. In California, and as a whole, really needs Jesus. I mean, America, is like a mission field, like we're almost like too smart for God here, so, but actually too stupid. So we want to start like a home discipleship kind of thing, like maybe like a church plant. Like we want to get to Orange County and like start like a church plant kind of thing, but really more of just discipling and community, and then sort of see what God does with it. So yeah, in the next year, 6 months, we're really striving towards making ministry our full-time thing. I have real estate going, but still, I'm still doing real estate here. But really, our passion is, helping others know Jesus. So that's the plan. So if you'd like to support us, you could start by hitting that subscribe button with the bell to be notified when we post. Definitely check out her blog, because it's amazing. And I don't know if you have already or haven't, but she actually has a post about this whole experience more in depth, so you might like that.
In depth, but also more concise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess however many minutes we're at. So thanks for watching. Yeah, Jordan Fam out.
Jordan Fam out.
See you later.